Welcome to The Yard, where faith and sports collide. I'm Marcus Preciado, the host, and we're going to have a great show for you here today. But as always, want to introduce the lovely and talented Jefferson Drexler. Say hi to everybody in podcast land, brother.
Hi, podcast land. Hey, Marcus, I am so excited for this week's show. In fact, I'm so excited for this week. Just the sun is shining, the surf is rolling. There's rumors about pro sports coming back soon. It's a good time to be alive, right?
Good time to be alive, man. And we had a great 4th of July weekend. My family was at the beach eating hot dogs and hamburgers and just thanking God for just being alive. But speaking of being alive, we got a live guest here today. We have Coach Marlon Gardinera joining us. Marlon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's going to be a great time. Marlon is a high school football coach, head football coach of Scripps Ranch High School, which we'll talk about. He also is a former college athlete, played center field at Oklahoma State back in the day. Also is the founder of LetFamiliesDecide.org, which we're going to talk about, an awesome initiative that I want us to get into. But Marlon, you ready to get your tail whooped, man?
Hey, I'm ready.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes. So here's the deal. We're just going to play first to 3.
Okay.
All right, and let's do this. Let's go first to 5.
Oh.
But any hole counts.
Okay.
Because I need all the help I can get.
Okay. No,
right?
I'm with you. I'm good. This works for me.
Right. So as our guest, go ahead and start it up.
Some big old sand traps out the end of that guy too.
But
Does that
that's a
count as
hole. That is a hole.
Wait a minute. Okay, the sand trap is not a hole. First of all.
Sorry.
It's not a
I played
hole.
baseball and football.
I'm glad we defined that.
Okay.
And there is a lump on there. So Jefferson, can they see the lump? Because as we're jacking this up, I want to make sure they don't think we're that bad. There's a lump right in the middle of our course. But go ahead, Marlon.
All right.
Get it going, brother.
I got this.
Now that's a lot of, you're putting a lot of like sounds.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm ready.
Nonsense into this. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. I know you weren't aiming for that. There's no chance you were aiming for that. But scoreboard.
Scoreboard. I'm going to sneak behind you. I got that.
All right, one.
Okay.
All right, so Marlon, you were two-sport star in San Diego, correct?
I was.
And I know you were a beast on the field in football in high school, but also in baseball. Why did you choose to end up to play baseball at Oklahoma State as opposed to football somewhere else?
I don't want the kids that I coach now to hear this.
Okay.
But I'll just be honest. In football, you practice 5-6 days a week. You get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you work out, you watch film, you go to class, you eat, you work out again. In baseball, you shag balls out in the outfield, take a little batting practice, and call it a day.
So that was really a part of it, just the rhythm of sports, of football compared to baseball?
So I didn't have anyone driving or pushing.
Yeah.
So when you're a 16, 17-year-old kid, sometimes it's the easiest path.
Sure, yeah.
If I had it to do all over again, I might have done some things a little bit different. But really, it was I could work really hard all week and watch some other guys play some football for a few years, or I could literally get started.
So when you went to Oklahoma State, talk to us about, because that's big time college sports, and at the highest level. Oh, speaking of highest level.
Yeah, that's
right there.
I feel like you put something over there.
Here's the difference. I actually aimed for that one.
Did you?
That's the one I wanted.
Okay, hey, it's your story. It's your story.
All right.
Tell it any way you want to. You can tell it any way you want to. Any way you want.
1-1. So how was it when you, San Diego kid, right?
Yes.
Then you're in Oklahoma.
Yes.
I know there's some stories there.
Ooh.
Just share some of them that maybe on air we can actually talk about.
Well, I can tell you one of the things I was most fascinated about. Oh!
Gosh, speaking of fascinating.
Yeah, that
was fascinating.
I'm going to take my mulligan. We're
okay,
good?
we'll
I'm
give you
take my
another.
mulligan.
That's your mulligan
That's
right
my
there.
mulligan right there. One of the most fascinating things about Oklahoma State were obviously the people. They were amazing. Ugh.
Now, is that what you anticipated? Being from San Diego, going to Oklahoma? Because there's certain images that conjure up in one's head when you think Oklahoma, when you're from San Diego.
Yes.
And so when you went there, you were pleasantly surprised that they didn't match maybe what you thought they were going to be?
So I'll be honest, I knew nothing about the Midwest, and I mean nothing. My family's originally from Brooklyn, so we went from New York, California, big cities.
Were you born in Brooklyn?
I was born in Brooklyn.
When did you move?
I was young, 4.
Okay.
Got to California in '77.
Okay.
So I'm a big city kid. If you call San Diego a big city back in the '70s. Oh, this is rigged.
Gosh.
This is rigged. I'm a guest.
I'm not gonna lie to you, this feels good. This feels really good. 2-1.
All right. So yeah, the people. I didn't know anything about the Midwest. I learned very quickly, down to earth, Americana, hardworking, loving, family. So I was nervous going in, not knowing, but it became clear very quickly. Now, don't get me wrong, life is definitely different in the Midwest. The high school sweetheart often becomes your husband or wife right after high school.
Sure.
And those things, that's not the California, San Diego laid-back beach lifestyle. But again, it was about family values, honoring their family.
So you appreciated that part of Oklahoma?
The people were the absolute best thing about it. There's no question. The people were amazing.
So let's talk about the sports component of it. You must have faced a lot of, great competition, a lot of great experiences. I know Jefferson, you were sharing a little bit earlier, you went to Cal State Fullerton for a while, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time to be a Titan. Those mid-90s, we had some talent, and it was a lot of fun to root for. I guess, what was really great was that change of an era where we saw Titan baseball, rise to the top, where places like, whatever, Oklahoma State or whatever used to reside somewhere. But it was a good day. You know anything about those days, brother?
I might have some memories of Cal State Fullerton.
We had talent, man. We had MLB talent back then.
So before you guys share, let's kind of set the scene here, right? Cal State Fullerton is a not franchise, but a school kind of on the rise. Oklahoma State's kind of a standard, right? A
perennial
powerhouse.
Yeah.
And during the latter part of your career at Oklahoma State, you guys faced them, right?
Well, let me set the
Okay,
table.
I'm sorry, apologize.
We had won 14 Big 8 regular season championships and 14 Big 8 tournament championships coming into my last year at Oklahoma State.
That's a better reset.
Much better set.
Right there.
So the school was a perennial power. I looked at all the top baseball schools in the country. I thought about Arizona State, too hot. I went to Florida in the middle of the game every day. It would rain, and that's not conducive to baseball to me. San Diego State at the time wasn't heavily recruiting San Diego kids, and the class of '91 was amazing. I think there were 10 big leaguers that came out of San Diego in '91.
That's Coach Dietz was there?
Coach Dietz was there.
Okay.
He did a lot of recruiting in Oregon and Washington.
Tony Clark
was
playing
was
baseball.
one more year ahead of me, but yes, that was his era. They didn't recruit a lot of San Diego kids, and we were really committed. If they wanted us, we all wanted to stay together. We had traveled and played some travel ball and won some national titles. We wanted to stay together, but that didn't work out. UCLA facility, USC facility, they weren't the best in baseball at the time. So I actually chose Oklahoma State in part because of the weather, believe it or not. It wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold, and they were a perennial power. I mean, year after year after year, they were a top 3, top 5 baseball team in the country.
Okay, so now, that's really, you've said that before. That wasn't your first time.
No,
you were prepared for that.
I'm proud of that. Yeah. I'm proud of that.
So, Jefferson was saying though, during the latter part, right, of your career, you got to face.
I know. Like I had sociology classes with several of the guys on our team because the sociology department at Fullerton was kind of. It's where the baseball players. It's where you could always find them. So
it was
had to be
athlete friendly.
Yes.
It was athlete friendly.
Yes.
Very good. You guys are familiar with that.
Yes.
For those of us who are actually trying to get a degree, it was a different scholastic atmosphere. But so I had classes with guys like Mark Kotze and several of the guys who spent their time out on the field more so than say in the Commons or in the Quad and the other places on campus where you might find some of us. It was a lot of fun hanging with those guys.
So for our viewers who don't know who Mark Kotze is, why don't you kind of set the scene for that, and we can talk about when you faced him.
I feel kind of bad. I'm an Angel fan, but locally Mark is, known as a former Padre, had some varied success, and he won. What's that award they hand it out every year at the College World Series for the guy that is the best player in the world? I'm blanking.
I'm sure it'll come to you.
You think?
Yeah.
Mark's a good guy and was a great player and had a lot of success, and I believe your paths crossed. I read something about it.
So set that up for us.
So you think of Mark Kotsay as a great Major League Baseball player. He played here for San Diego. I'm a Padre fan. I was excited to see him here. For me personally, I like to call Mark Kotsay my last meal. My last official at bat at Oklahoma State was my last of my playing career.
Okay, hold on. I want to really understand the story.
Yeah.
So it's your last at bat.
Yes. And
At
I'll
Oklahoma
go a little
State.
deeper. I sprained my ankle in the first game. We unfortunately lost. They had to beat us twice to go to the actual College World Series. We're in Stillwater, Oklahoma, at our place for the NC2A Regional. I sprained my ankle in the first game. I come up in the 6th or 7th inning. Coach looks at me and says, "Can you jog around the bases?" And this is Gary Ward, second most winning coach in all of college baseball history. Says, "Could you jog around the bases?" And I'm thinking, well, my ankle sprained, and why would I be jogging? Literally, that's all he said. Can you jog around the bases? So sure, I suppose I could. You're up. And I'm looking at him thinking, I know, my ankle is sprained. You're up. I don't know. He might have known that I was going to hit a home run. I didn't know, but I actually did. So I did get to hobble around
So you
the
went
bases.
yard
I went
on
yard on my last at bat against
Wow.
that guy
Wow.
from that team. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. We lost in the 9th inning. And they went to the College World Series, where apparently he won some award.
It'll come to us.
I don't know what it's called. But so I have some history with
Wow.
Cal State Fullerton.
That is great.
Just a little bit.
That's a great story, man.
You think?
Yeah.
I like the home run part, but the rest of it, not so much.
Did that
I
really
will
happen?
give Marlon
It- no,
this.
Did you make that up?
No, it really happened.
Okay.
It really happened.
I'll give
I didn't hit the
Marlon
lights
that.
out like.
Well, he
like-
got to do that. Most of us were not even in the stands watching. We were just at some dive bar, watching it and going, "Yeah, go team," while we're eating nachos. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking he had a better seat to the entire experience, right?
That's one of the things I love about sports is really the memories, the joy, the opportunities. The opportunities that God opened up for you as a young man to have those stories, to have those experiences, to have those relationships. And is that a big reason why, fast forwarding, you took on a head coaching position last year to kind of, well, let me just say it. Why is it that you started head coaching last year?
Well, the greatest benefit there is someone else paid for my college.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't ask for anything more, and you got to do something you loved. And like you said, the fellas, the team, those are my brothers. They're my brothers today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fast forward, no, I never wanted to be a high school football coach, not one day in my entire life. Unfortunately, or fortunately, of course fortunately, I had 2 sons. And we lived in a neighborhood where the football program was pretty bad, really is what it came down to. I had been a football director and head coach at the Pop Warner level for 6 or 7 years. And just as my older boy, who will be a senior coming up, was getting through Pop Warner, they had an opening. And I completely ignored it. I had a good time coaching Pop Warner, and I wanted to go coach my younger son a couple years behind. And then I got a few phone calls, and people said, we think this job is for you. And I told them no.
So you took over a team that was underperforming.
Oh, yes.
And as a guy going in there, I remember you speaking with me prior, calling your shot. You were letting me know that you were going to take over this role and to watch what was going to happen. And me knowing you, I trusted that. But the results that happened in your first year of a head coach, you guys went from below average to subpar to a team that almost won the CIF championship.
Well, that took a couple years. The first year was probably the worst sports year of my life. Changing the culture of 16 and 17-year-olds can be a task. And as much as they wanted to,
hold up. I want that's 3 putts.
Yeah.
3 makes.
Yeah.
With that hump in the middle.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah.
All right, 3-1.
Yeah.
All right.
This is your home green, correct? and if I remember correctly, you got here a little earlier than I did.
Okay, come on, man. Come on.
I'm not saying you practice, but something is happening.
Man, that feels good, Marlon.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay,
That feels
okay.
really good. Uh-oh. Oh, that was close, man. Actually, it wasn't even close.
It wasn't
To be honest
close.
with you.
Wow. Wow.
All right, so you finally got that team rolling.
And I had a different vision about how this game would go. But yes, it took a couple of years. We ended up in a really, really special place. It took a couple of years to convince the kids that hard work, dedication, commitment, dealing with adversity, learning how to compete.
Speaking of competing, you may want to start doing that yourself.
Are we playing to 21?
This is the warm-up, right?
Jefferson, I don't know what happened to me.
Yeah.
Me neither, brother.
Feels good though. I got a good night of sleep, or I
Hey,
stretched.
can I see that golf ball? Just want to see if there's an antenna or something in there.
It's the latest in technology.
Yeah, I'll bet. I just wanted to.
Okay, so you're talking about the building blocks of
Yeah.
how you turned them around.
It was the same things we hope as parents. Wow, this is
Yeah.
this,
4-1.
yeah. Thank you for that little score update.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
We put in place the same things you expect as a father to your child.
Yeah.
Work hard. Do what you say you're going to do. Be committed. Deal with adversity. It's not going to be easy. If you have a team, use it. Rely on them. Let them count on you. Get where you're trying to go collectively. And it took a couple years, but we literally got them there. And more importantly for me, we got them there on the field. And like you said, the result was one short of a championship. Went into it 12-0, feeling really good. The team we had already beat didn't work out, but they got there, and they understood that the result of all of those other things will get you there.
Yeah.
It'll get you there in school. It'll get you there in college. It'll get you there in the workplace. It'll get you there.
But those building blocks, like you said, they certainly applied to the field.
Oh yeah.
But those are building blocks of life.
They are.
And so you saw results on the other side too, on the field obviously, but off the field. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So if you can get kids to understand what they're capable of, sure, they'll do it on the field. It's sports. They love it. They want to be there. But we use that same energy, that same culture, that same focus, that same drive, and pretty much nailed it in the classroom as well. We have some different standards. We call it our School First program, where our expectations are really high. Most states, most areas require a 2.0 to be eligible to play sports. I require a 3.0. Most places want the kids to be eligible and ready to go get on the field. I want them to succeed at a level they had no idea they could succeed. And I want them to position themselves to go to college with or without football. So we set up a target well beyond that 3.0. We know that a lot of Division III schools throughout the country have academic money that they're more than willing to give to athletes to come play sports at their schools, but you have to reach a pretty high standard. Most of them are private schools.
And a lot of the Division III schools are great schools
Listen,
as well.
John Hopkins, University of Chicago, MIT. I mean, I could go through a list of places. Claremont Mudd, Harvey. The schools are amazing that these kids can go to, but they have high standards. So if you're an athlete, they're not going to give you an athletic scholarship, but they will give you academic money to perform where it's important, and that's the classroom. So we set the target at 3.6 GPA.
So as a result of those building blocks, results on the field, results in the classroom, but people started to take notice.
They did.
So can you kind of just share on some of the schools that are chatting with you guys, that are making offers, that are speaking with your student athletes, including your son? What does that look like?
We had 14 student athletes from our previous year that are going to college somewhere to play football.
Wow.
We've got a kid that just reported to the Naval Academy. He'll be playing ball there. Kid going to San Diego State, Makai Shaw, phenomenal young man. Local kid, will be a local hero in a few years. Our kicker's going to Nevada. My tight end is going to UCLA. Another tight end going to Miami of Ohio. We've got some high-level football players going all sorts of different places.
Well, that's got to feel real good, because I know that you know the joy and opportunities that came with playing college sports, and to be a vehicle and a catalyst for that is awesome, man. Kudos to you.
We appreciate
Tell
it.
us a little bit about, your son and his journey along the way through this.
Well, we have a shared journey because, as I said, I don't know. It's good to know you're human.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Can we strike that from the tape, please?
It's good to know you're human. Either that or you turned off that little homing device on that.
I did.
On
Actually,
that, on
you
that golf ball.
deactivated it when you held it.
You can't cheat on all the holes.
Yeah, at least some. Oh,
That's really bad. That's terrible. That's embarrassing.
I don't. I used to be an elite athlete. Used to be.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about your son, and then that'll lead us into letfamiliesdecide.org, which I think is really, really important, and I want to spend a little time on that as well.
As I said, my son and I have a shared path. I coach high school football because I wanted to create the best possible environment for my son. With that, you end up with 100 other sons that I love dearly, that I feel a sense of responsibility for, a sense of pride in their accomplishments. The same directness I have with my own child, I have with them on what the expectations are with life and the things they get involved with, good choices, bad choices. So we have a shared path in that I've been with him in football and baseball as his coach. As a matter of fact, in neither sport has he ever played for another person. So to some degree, I feel bad for him. But we have a shared path. Good news is he got his mother's body, and he is a Division I football prospect.
Nice.
He's already got one offer, actually a couple offers, and he's looking to go down the football route. He gave up baseball, and I almost gave up on him since baseball's my sport.
Yeah.
But we let him stay in the house. Well, his mother let him stay.
That's nice of her.
Yeah,
That's
his
very
mother
nice
let
of
him
her.
stay in the house, and he's excelling. Now, I have the same expectation of him at home. He's got a 4.0, high expectations for him, for the team, but he's walking a pretty good path.
So how has that passion for your son led to this latest initiative that I want us to talk about?
Yeah.
How is that turned into something that's causing you to take action during this COVID time and all these uncertainties of even some kids like your son in danger, as crazy as it sounds, in danger of losing their senior year of sports and taking them perhaps off a trajectory that all of his life he's been working towards.
Yeah.
Tell us about your response to that and what you're doing.
Listen, this is a big year for my son. He's got a lot of interest, but the interest will increase as he shows one more time what he's capable of. And right now, I'm fearful. As a coach, it's crazy to sit back and wait to see whether or not kids at the high school level are going to be able to go back and participate. And I sat around long enough. One night, I was laying in bed and the thoughts just rushed to my head. I went straight to my desk and started typing. And the basic idea was, what can I do? What can I personally do to try to make this season happen? Of course, for my son, and also for my other 100 sons. And then I did a little research and realized there's over 820,000 student athletes in high school sports in California alone.
Okay, hold up. Let's just pause there. 820,000 high school athletes that would certainly be affected adversely if there's no high school sports this year.
Listen, there's the mental, physical.
Get in there. That's what I'm talking about.
I was starting to have mental and physical issues myself. No, for the high school kid, there's mental, physical, social, emotional. There's the development. There's that desire to thrive and compete and succeed. And for many of these kids, it's so much a part of their identity to be a student athlete, to be a part of a team, to be a part of a family. You talk about them as building blocks, but for some of these kids, it's some of the most significant things in their life. Their friends are at school, their friends are on these teams. And the isolation and the idea that they could lose the sort of the pinnacle for some of them, the peak of all of those years of experience, because a lot of kids, their last year in high school is their last year of sports.
So what's your response to this then?
So in the middle of the night, I got up and I started writing and I thought to myself, parents throughout the state of California have been asked if they'd like their kids to go back to school. And I can tell you the response has been overwhelming. At Scripps Ranch High School, for example, where I coach, 94.7% of the parents have responded that they'd like their children to go back to school, physically go back to school on campus in the classroom. And that's a combination of 63 or 64% who said they want their kids there full time, and another 30+% that said we want our kids to be back at school for various activities, physical education, labs, theater, different reasons that you would need to be at school. So in total, 90+% said, I want my kid in school. So I thought to myself, right now, administrators are trying to decide if, when kids go back to school, because that decision has been made, we're going back, and kids are going to be on campus, parents have decided. The question for me was, with all of that happening, the administrators have a really bad choice. Do we allow kids to play football, for instance, a contact sport, with the risk of COVID-19 being real, and take on that responsibility? And I can tell you, if I were one of those decision makers, it would be a tough decision for me. Do I want to be responsible for an outbreak at a school or something happening? And my answer, from a distance or a third part, that would be a tough decision for me to make. But I thought to myself, if parents can decide whether or not their kids go to school, why can't we decide whether or not our kids play sports when they get there? So I literally, in the middle of the night, put together a website and the beginnings of an organization purely designed to let the decision makers know. And by decision makers, there's 10 CIF commissioners in California. There are 3,842 principals. There are countless number of school board members and superintendents. I want to let them know, just like we got to decide about whether or not we go to school.
Sure.
Can we decide if we want to assume the risk of our children playing sports at the high school level?
Yeah.
And at this point, it's picking up a little steam. People are getting behind the idea that there are kids, and we certainly have a clear understanding of what's in their best interest, like I said, physically, mentally, emotionally. We know what the value of sports is for them.
Yeah.
You can see certainly in our program, the value of sports it relates directly to school.
Absolutely.
And the output in school.
Yeah.
So I want that decision in my hands. I want to take it away from a person who doesn't know my son.
Yeah,
and help him, or let that person, or let those people know, hey, listen, if you give me the choice to send him to campus, I want him to be able to do one of the most important things he's ever done when he's there, when he gets there.
Yeah. Jefferson, as a father of a kid going into his senior year, correct? Whose sports is a very important part of his life, as a water polo player. What are your thoughts on what Marlon just said?
Right. I mean, I'm in the congregation just listening to Marlon preach right now. Because, I mean, me and my friends, my spouse, all of our friends who are tied together by my son's water polo team, we're on full agreement. Not only that should we have the authority to make the decisions for our kids, but I mean, I'll be truthful, my son is not an elite athlete. He's not heading to college to play water polo. But the things that he has learned and would have the opportunity to learn, and especially in his senior year of being on a team together, those relationships, those responsibilities, the aspect of being a senior leader on a team. I know from myself, also not an elite athlete at all, but they left undeniable imprints on my life as a leader, as a dad, as a business owner. So many different aspects all have their roots in that senior year of high school activity. And I mean, Marlon's just, I mean, like I said, preach it.
I call it like
nothing else.
I call it the magic wand. That wand that gets these kids, and unless they go into the military or become a fitness buff, football players are never going to work that hard again in their life. We get them to do that. The locker room at our, did I lose?
Speaking of magic wand, this bad boy right here, this magic wand just finished.
Congratulations,
Thank
Marcus.
you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate you for coming out today.
This is how you treat your guests?
So that magic wand, yes. Can you come back next week too?
Look at the time. I don't even know if I can stay today. No, it's a magic wand. I can get a locker room with 100 boys to be spotless. And when I say spotless, I mean spotless. I don't want a piece of tape. I don't want grass from your cleats. It's spotless. Now, getting my kids to pick up their socks at home is a little bit different. You get kids in that team environment. You get them in there with their brothers, that common cause, that common goal. You can make miracles happen. So we call it the magic wand. Our team GPA is 371. That's not something that's easy for every family to make happen in their house.
Sure.
But when you're a part of that group and you walk in coach's office for a weekly grade check and he says, you've got a 3.5, you are killing us. That kid is going to do everything they can to be a part of what makes us successful. So I feel like we're losing that magic wand. They're asking us to put that on hold. We're going to be in the classroom, but that extra piece that really, an imprint, life changer, some of the most amazing memories you're ever going to have, I feel like we're losing it, or we're watching it slip away, and I don't even get a say as a parent or a coach. So I want to shift that. I want to change the narrative and get people thinking about deciding for themselves. And believe me, I understand for families who think it may not be in their best interest, or they're concerned about their health or their child's health, they will have the option to keep their child out of that particular sport.
So for those of you guys watching who this is resonating with you, go to letfamiliesdecide.org and you'll find out more information with some clear action steps of how you can make a difference, because we know that Marlon, Jefferson, myself, we just represent probably over 800,000 parents who are probably like-minded. So let your voice be heard, and stay tuned, because we're coming right back with Marlon to talk about how faith and sports have collided in his world. Welcome back to the yard where faith and sports collide. We're here with Coach Marlon Gardinera, who's going to talk about how faith and sports have collided in his world. Coach, that's what this part is all about. It was fun whooping up on you, whooping that tail up on some golf.
Thanks for treating me like a loved guest.
But now we really want to talk about important stuff, because even the stuff you were talking about, the building blocks of success, even the reason why you're starting this initiative is all built around love. Even though they're not verses attached to them, but it is the spirit of Christ in you, right? So talk to us a little bit more how faith and sports have collided in your world.
Well, I'll attach a verse, I'll paraphrase it, Luke 12:48, too much is given, much is expected. I have been given trying to keep it together. I've been given so many blessings. My walk started at a very young age of 3, Brooklyn Tabernacle Church in Brooklyn, New York, where my Aunt Debbie introduced me to the Lord, introduced me to the church. It was the music. It was some guy, I think she said his name was Tyrone, playing the organ. Had never heard an organ before. Move up 5 years to 1978, a year after we get here to California. I've got some cousins that go to Bayview Baptist Church in San Diego. I get there and the choir is howling. It was the music again. I went to Bayview Baptist Church for 30 years on my own. By that I mean my father had questions and wanted to speak directly to God, he said, to get some answers before he committed. My mother and myself, this is always throws a twist in people's world as they understand my Christianity. I'm Jewish. My mother is of the maternal bloodline. My grandmother is Gilda Katz. So I grew up knowing I was Jewish, but I still had the music. I had the music, like I said, at Bayview for 30 years. At some point, I just understood my spirit, my soul, just my being, that there was something in this world bigger than me, more important than me, and something had to be creating this life that I had, and it was nothing I could have possibly done. To have life and love and friendships and sports and physique-wise, I was I kind of looked similar to this, just minus the signs of age, the extra love. I felt like I was just blessed. I was given and received and loved, and I remember being in the business world and having a little success, and I remember thinking to myself, man. This is when I have to double down on my relationship. I have to share the good news. I want people to know that this could be your life. Because folks, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I am not capable of the blessings I've received. So I've been connected to the church alone my entire life. I would hitch rides. I would ask people that I barely knew that I knew lived in church, and they lived somewhere near me, and can I get a ride to go to church? So I've just always been connected. Sports, like I said, the good fortune, the physique, the approach, they're gifts. You're given gifts. There's people who work really, really hard. But you know, a good scout will tell you, I can tell you the minute I see someone whether or not they have a chance.
Yeah, sure.
The guys that get to the highest level, they had it or they didn't.
Yeah.
Well, they got it from somewhere, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a blessing to me. And then as I got a little bit older, I got some other blessings. I have a rare disease called amyloidosis. First thing I noticed was pain in my hands and feet. It's like hanging on the monkey bars, but you let go because it burns, right?
Yeah.
You can't hold on forever. I also have chronic kidney disease. I was given that blessing, and I know that sounds crazy. Then I was given the amyloid protein on my heart, at which time they told me I had a year or two to live. Another blessing. I know that sounds crazy. And then I got the panic of finding out that maybe a transplant, a liver transplant, could help prolong your life. But I was given 12 to 24 months to live, and at month 17, I still didn't have a liver. But I still had Jesus. Now, I started to have some questions. I've fallen out of my faith once. I had all those blessings. I had two little boys, 2 and 4 years old. College, sports, relationships, connections, just the way you would think he would want you to have it.
Yeah.
And then he says you're going to die and your kids aren't going to know you.
So how long ago was this, Coach, when you got that information?
December 27th, 2007.
Wow.
I was told that you have a rare disease, there is no cure. My doctor didn't even really know what it was. He just says once the protein gets to your heart, you typically have about a year or two to live.
So in 2007,
Yes.
13 years ago, you had to prepare yourself for maybe having 2 more years.
Yes. And when you hear a year to 2 from a doctor, it's not 2 years. You've got a year. And if you get lucky, you get that from a year to 2 years. So the hardest part at the time for me were my sons. They didn't know Jesus. I hadn't given them the lessons that I was lucky enough to have received, blessed enough to have received from my father. It was awful. So there was a time when I certainly questioned, okay, what's this? Why are we playing this game? Now's not the time. I have work to do. I have work for you, Lord, to do.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Why is this happening? So I did have that falling out, but I called every one of the diseases and conditions a blessing. Because if you ever want to have your faith tested and come out on the other side stronger,
Wow.
go through that.
Wow.
So it took 18 months. I got the liver transplant. It prolonged my life by slowing down the impact of this particular disease. It could happen again, but I'd be 120 years old. I'd have to be a biblical age before I would notice it. So I was able to prolong my life, but after you get a transplant, there are a list of things that happened that were also blessings. I instantly became a diabetic, insulin dependent. I had to take 4 or 5 shots a day. In 2013, because I'm immunocompromised, my heart stopped. About 4 minutes. They had to do CPR to bring me back here. I didn't see a light, so I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job or not. It was all darkness. But again, if you want to understand the power of the Lord, get to the other side of that.
Wow.
So getting diabetes, dying, being in a coma for a week, being crazy for another week because they gave you so many medications while you were in the coma and they didn't know what was wrong with you, that they thought maybe you had brain damage from the combination of all of those things. Get to the other side of that and then ask me about my faith. My life is a blessing, and I've had experiences that one might think would be horrible. They weren't. They were just they were affirmations of the power of the Lord. They were affirmations that I absolutely can do all things through Christ. Who, man, you talk about strengthening somebody.
And that's really powerful stuff, Coach. And let's just pick up with that verse. I see that verse, and it's a great verse. And I see it on people's bats, on their helmet, and they want to be able to do all things through Christ. And they think that means I can hit the home run, which certainly we can if you've experienced that. But they want to take it to mean I can catch the winning touchdown, and certainly they're capable of that. But the context, the Apostle Paul was sharing that verse. If you take a look at the verses prior to that, he was talking about how exactly what you're talking about. He was saying, I've learned to be content in all things. He was saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, look, I can be broke or I can be rich, right? I can be strong or I can be weak. I can be thriving or I can be holding on for my life. I have learned that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And what he was really talking about is exactly what you were talking about. What he can do is suffer. what he can do is go through those things because we can all shine.
Yeah.
I don't need Christ's strength for me to be rich, right? I don't need Christ's strength to be successful. Now, I need his blessing, but I don't need his strength to get me through that. I can handle
good times are easy.
I can handle eating street tacos on my own, right? I don't need like God's strength to get me through the street tacos, right? But the times in my family we had to just eat peanut butter and jelly, like to make sure we can pay our bills for a while, he could get us through that. And that perspective is so key, Coach.
So I've seen that valley. And appreciate the highs that he also gives me. And I try to use every gift and every opportunity I have, both to share the news about him and what can happen when you believe. So my connection has been strong since I was 3.
So what would you say to somebody that's on the fence of where, I believe in God, but I really haven't been able to trust Jesus, or I really haven't taken that step because I've had hard times, because financially or health or relationships, and I don't really want to trust God. What would your encouragement be for those?
Well, I'd probably try to help them understand they were probably relying on themselves through all of that. They were probably trusting themselves through all of that. Try that change. If it hasn't been working, listen, I've got this miracle cure. I've got this wonderful drug. I've got this powerful sunlight. It's Jesus. Try a different way. Your way can only take you so far. You can only eat so many street tacos. At some point, you have to be given the breath of life, and then the idea of having it forever. I would try Jesus, because most areas and ways and places that people fall short, they did that on their own. Try Jesus. And he won't let you down, even when others on the outside would think you're at the lowest you could possibly be. No, when I laid in that coma, little did I know I was rejuvenated. I was getting stronger and getting ready to come back and share the news.
So for those of you guys watching, wherever you are, whether you're thriving right now, or maybe you're coming out of a season of struggling, or maybe you're in the heart of your struggle right now, regardless of where you are, I want you to take Marlon's words to heart and try Jesus. You've tried things your way, and they're not delivering the results that you hoped for. So I encourage you, right there, just where you are, just cry out to God, cry out to Jesus. Tell him to reveal himself to you. Spend time reading God's word. Spend time in relationships that that people have tried Jesus and it's working. I love a verse in the Bible that says, taste and see that the Lord is good. So I encourage you to taste that. And then maybe you've tasted that and you're still struggling and you're in a spot of questioning. Well, it's big God. God is big and he loves you, and he can handle your doubts. He can handle your questions, but really, really give him an opportunity to answer them. And you'll see that you're loved, and every good and faithful thing, every good and perfect thing that you have is from your Father above. So thank you guys for tuning in to The Yard. God bless you guys. We want to say a huge thank you to Christian Podcast Central for supporting us and being a part of this journey, as well as our YouTube channel. We encourage you to tune into our YouTube channel, subscribe. We archive every episode there, as well as some other great things going on here in The Yard. God bless you guys, and we'll see you next week.